At long last, the Netflix Avatar live action trailer is finally here, and I'm almost speechless of how good it was. I could not believe it. I'm sure many of you felt the exact same way. There's many of you that were kind of concerned. This just puts all of our worries to rest. This is not another M. Night Shyamalan situation. And this proves that they really did not need the creators or even Jeremy Zuckerman, because the soundtrack, the Avatar theme was top tier in this. Now let's break down the main moments we saw. Now the first change right off the bat is the Fire Nation wiping out the Air Nomads. We've heard about this in the show, but we never actually saw it on screen. We get to see the Airbenders fighting back in this shot right here, and there was a rumored report earlier this year about this happening, but it's just nice to actually see it come true. It's interesting that they did fight back at night. Obviously in the show they can say it was a surprise attack when the Air Nomads were sleeping at night, and also because they want the CGI to look as good as possible, they obviously do it in a dark setting. We've seen this before in other media as well. It's definitely going to be a spectacle. It just looks so good. And speaking of firebending, here is Ozai right here. We see he's preparing his hand to burn Zuko, and then seconds later we see him blast him from basically a couple feet away. It looks amazing. The fire looks real, and honestly in this version it's not like he's holding his hand right up to his face, so this is definitely kind of confirming how Zuko probably got burned in the actual TV show, but obviously they panned away to Iroh's face in that, so that's a little bit different. But this proves that we're going to see more graphic scenes. They're not as afraid since they're not on Nickelodeon. They can actually go in a little bit more, which is kind of nice. But as they go into graphic moments, they're also obviously going to show the heart that the show has. We're going to see the comedy. We see this towards the end of the trailer with Aang, Katara, Sokka, and then Momo flies in, and Momo looks amazing here. This scene itself just proves that this is not the M. Night Shyamalan movie. You can see the life in the background. We got to go over the settings. Omashu looks fantastic. It looks like it was taken directly from the animation to live action itself. And in the shot that we just went over a second ago, it looks like they're flying to the Southern Air Temple. Now in yesterday's video, I did say I was a little concerned about Appa. He didn't look nearly as good as I was expecting, but this trailer and then the photo that they just released put my worries to rest. He looks great. He looks fantastic. Appa's face even looks good. I am not worried at all anymore. Just like Momo looked good, but he looks a million times better today. This just proves that it was really just a poster issue, not the trailer itself. And we're going to shift gears a little more to the Fire Nation again. We see Ozai in his Fire Nation throne room. He looks angry, obviously. Makes sense. We also see Azula. She's kind of like in a robe. She's kind of relaxing. She doesn't look like she's all dressed up, ready to go on a mission. Maybe this is when she gets word of the Avatar being alive still. She's got to go out on a mission to hunt the Avatar, or maybe Zuko for some reason extra early, even though the events of the Northern Water Tribe hadn't even happened yet. I know in One Piece they had storyline changes, like rather than having Garp show up like multiple arcs later, which is like 200 or 300 episodes in the anime, they had him show up in the first season and they gave him a completely different storyline. So they're probably doing the same exact thing with Azula to fill time and just to build her character a bit more. They're going to use this season to improve on some of the issues season 1 had of the original series. So I'm looking forward to this. We didn't see May or Ty Lee. I'm assuming we're going to wait and see them in the next trailer or maybe the full series. There was that Azula photo that came out weeks ago, and if you look at the blurred background behind Azula, people are theorizing that that actually was May and Ty Lee, but it's really hard to say. Continuing on with the Fire Nation, we got to talk about Zuko. As you see Zuko right here, he's walking and the Fire Nation soldiers are like kind of showing respect to him. It could be his soldiers on the ship. It could be Zhao's soldiers and he's meeting Zhao. It's hard to say because it's in the dark and they kind of look similar based on the photo we got weeks ago and what we have now. Regardless, this was a cool shot, and my favorite shot of this whole trailer, probably one of my favorites, at least of Iroh and Zuko specifically, is them right here. This is Zuko helping Iroh in the Winter Solstice Part 1. I just love the way they look. It literally, like, look at the comparisons between the animation and the live action. It's just perfect. It's like Omashu, a direct translation. Now, unfortunately, I do have one issue, and it's not a huge issue. It's more minor, but it has to do with Suki and the Kyoshi Warriors. I like this look. It is so accurate. It looks nice, but there's something that just feels a little too cosplay with it. The other characters in their costumes, they look like they belong in the world, and I think the reason it looks that way is because there's been really well done cosplays in the past, and that's why it feels that way. But regardless, that is probably my only complaint. Going in on the final shots of the trailer, we also see once again Zuko putting down Aang's wanted poster. We obviously know we don't focus on the posters until Zhao got promoted, so obviously this would be between episodes 5 and 8. I could be wrong though. And right here we see Sokka and Katara with like lanterns. They're like in some sort of cave. It could be them in the Storm episode, even though Sokka originally wasn't there in the actual episode. Maybe he is now. Maybe they're making some switches. Maybe it's a scene from another episode. Obviously they're going to add some extra stuff. And the last two shots I really want to show is Aang himself just on his own. We've got this action shot of Aang with airbending, and it looks seamless. The airbending looks great. You see kind of like dirt effects too. It looks fantastic. And then we see Aang right here entering the Avatar state, and it's blue. And I know it was kind of blue in certain episodes, and then later it kind of turned more into like a white effect. I'm fine with it being blue all the time. It'll just be interesting to see how consistent the color of the Avatar arrow is. So is the live action curse fixed? Some would say it's a bit too early to tell. I personally say it has fixed the curse. This is nearly 2 minutes of footage. It just feels right. And I assume we're going to get another 3-minute trailer in the next 3 to 4 weeks. So that'll for sure tell us if the series is going to be good or not. That February 22nd rumored date that I went over yesterday actually turned out to be true, because at the end of the trailer they said it's coming February 22nd. So it's nice to see that we now have a definitive release date. I want you guys to let me know down below what you thought of the trailer, and stay on the channel for more as the weeks come, because I have plenty of Avatar videos coming your way. And this is our time, Avatar fans. Everything is coming back.